You want to do something else so I can go, I could do the boat thing. I could do the boat thing the rest of my life and make good money and had a house and a wife by now. But I put that all away so I could, at the end of this life say, hey, I went for it. It was something I love. I tell you what, like from the bottom of my heart, I don't know where this is all going. I don't know what's happening, but it feels good and it also scares the crap out of me. Like to show up every
And
day.
that's exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm building a car for SEMA, and to get to the caliber that I want with this thing over here, is money that I never even thought about. Me just buying the part.
Yeah.
Luckily, I can build it all, but the parts itself is scary. And then keeping the lights on, and then doing a venture with the Chevelle, to like make my sponsors happy. Sometimes I sit there and I'm like, it's all going out, and not really many things coming in. But while I'm doing it, I'm just sitting there like I'm building. I'm having.
Welcome to the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast, where we dive into the high-octane world of market-leading shop owners, shop employees, and automotive enthusiasts from the aftermarket, restoration, performance, and racing industries. So strap in as we take you on an awesome journey with our guests as they share their real-life stories, lessons learned, business advice, and unfiltered insights to help you beat the school of hard knocks. Gearheads and Gasoline, fueling your success.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast, sponsored by Redline Oil and AMD. I'm Barry Alt with Motorhead Digital, and my co-host is Annette Bauer with Annette Bauer Creative. We're excited to welcome Don Abenante, the owner of Retro Fabworks, to the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast. Hey, man.
Hi, Don. How are you?
How are you? How you guys doing? Thanks for having me on.
Definitely.
Glad you can. We know you're super busy going into the SEMA show, so thanks for setting some time aside for us.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. I met you a year ago and I loved you. So I was like, when you called up, I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's get on there and chit chat and be normal for a minute.
Yeah, our past guest, and just a little history here, was at the Westgate at the bar, and Jesse from Level 7 was there.
Oh, yeah.
And introduced me to Don.
He's a sweetheart.
Nice.
Got to meet Don.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart.
Yeah, both him and his wife are very, very nice.
Yeah, you never know. Sometimes you meet these people. I met him, and as soon as I shook his hand and gave him a hug, I was like, "This guy's all right." He's just real salt of the earth, and he's very helpful too. So yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, no, it was really cool. Barry actually introduced me to him last year at SEMA, and so it was really cool to have an opportunity to meet him and Shauna and kind of just learn a little bit more about what they do. And then obviously we had Jesse on the podcast, and he just shared a whole bunch more about what they do in their shop and his family life, which is great. So yeah, super happy to have people like that, like-minded people on the show, and it sounds like you're very much the same. So we're happy to have you.
Yeah, I'm excited. I want to get to see him. I want to see him and a bunch of you guys, and it's amazing how many friends I made just through like online space. And you meet him in real life, you're like, oh wow, these people are real. They're cool.
yeah, it's like you've known them forever, right?
Yeah, it really is.
Very cool. I love it. So I do want to say, like, I did notice your shirt, obviously, again, coming from the performance side of things.
I didn't even realize I put it on today. That's awesome. Good marketing PR right there. I'll take me.
Right. So I actually have a couple of really good buddies who not only do a lot of primary tuning for Haltech, but also are really good friends with the owners. And again, like I work with a large group of people who either use Haltech or Fuel Tech. Not so many that use Motec, but kind of going along that side of some kind of engine management system. So that's super cool. I love it.
It was when I met the guys at Haltech, the main guy, one of the main guys, Andrew DiMartino, I just met him. I was at SEMA last year and I was walking around and I had no like intentions of trying to get in. I just wanted to like learn. I was like being a nerd. And then Andrew was right there and he's like, hey, what are you building? And I'm like, I'm building this all-wheel drive car. You can see those lights kind of come on. And we just talked about the project. And I'm like, yeah, I'm building this all-wheel drive 59 El Camino. And he's like, wait a minute. So we became friends just by talking the science of it. And I was actually really new to like learning that you can get parts and you can be sponsored for doing this. I'm new to all of this, to be honest with you. We can get into that too. So as we're talking, he's like, what are you doing with it? Oh, I'm going to build a 1600 horsepower Ford Godzilla. He's like, wait, you putting a Ford in an Elko? And I'm like, yes. Anyway, we started bantering. I showed him some pictures, and he's like, we got your back. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And that was he was the first person that came on with the El Camino, which I could show you, that made me realize that like there was, that I can give back in a different way. I came from like a blue collar roots of like, I had to work my butt off. I had to get dirty. I had to break my back. I had to fix something to get money for the thing that I fixed or I built. And then finally now it's like, I'm starting to realize that me creating my channel and my Instagram, I can give back in a different way and get people to help me. So I don't have to just, do this all alone. I've been doing this stuff all alone for years. And it hasn't been till Haltech and now all these other companies have come on board because I make my videos. And it's such a warped, weird, wild way to go about it. And sometimes I have to kick myself to be like, well, if I just make a video of me building this, I give value to a company, and then in exchange, I get more stuff to keep on building, keep on feeding the machine. So it's trippy. I'm learning all about it in real time in the last 2 years.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I do want to learn more about that. We'll definitely jump into some of the details as that applies to marketing, and it applies to how social media, especially when you're talking about like YouTube and that type of thing, is influencing and impacting the industry. But before we do that, I do want to jump into our kick-off question, and we ask all of our guests this. That is, what is your favorite drink, Don?
My favorite drink? Oh, lemonade. I got
it. Wait, like a twisted tea kind of lemonade or like regular lemonade?
Oh, well, like regular lemonade. Yeah, I got sober 5 years ago, so I can't touch the weird stuff anymore for me. Yeah, so it used to be the hard lemonade. Now it's just like, a regular old peach tea and some good old sugary lemonade. Yeah.
I love that. I love it. I love it. Hands down, I love it. Like Barry can tell you, like, I am not a big drinker at all. In all honesty, like if I have a beer, I'm lucky if I can get through the whole thing. So I'm just not like, I've never really been a big drinker. And every now and then I'll have something, like a rum and Coke or something like that. But that is quite literally usually half or one is all I ever get to. And then I'm back to water, or my favorite is chocolate milk. So
Yes, there we go. Now we're talking. It's funny. I don't think I've ever actually openly told my circle knows, but I never like did a podcast or any kind of car stuff and told them I was sober. I put little cues in like my videos and my YouTube. I'll be like, I haven't done it. I'll say stuff, but I don't ever like promote it because I don't want to like force it on anybody's throat. But you guys are the first person ever told, like, yeah, I got sober 5 years ago and I've been riding that train ever since.
Redline oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
Redline oil, formulated to win.
Formulated to win.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Formulated to win, proven by me.
Proven by me.
Proven by me.
Redline oil, formulated to win, proven by me.
I freaking love it. Great. I wish that truthfully, like more people would be confident in making those statements and standing behind that, because it is not an easy feat, right? Like outside of just in general, and I don't want to make this about that, but like in general, like making that commitment and sticking to it is not always an easy thing, and everybody has their own reason for doing it. But I commend you for doing that and standing behind it and being proud of it.
Yeah, the times are changed. I mean, like if it was back in the 1500s or way back in the day, or or like even the 70s, people would look at you differently. But now it's like nobody cares, and yeah, it's cool. I mean, certain people just can't do it. I'm one of those guys who can't do it. And when my dad died from it, so when I realized I was going down that path, I had to make that choice. And when I did, I was like, cool. The first year was, so it's always sketchy the first year. Then after that, I just tell people, I'll ask anybody, even sponsors or people will go, I'm gonna take you out for a beer. I'm like, no, I'll go out with you. I'll have a little bit of water, some Red Bull, and I'll get weird with you, but I just can't do that way. Nobody cares, so like it's way past that these days. It's helped me with all this. I mean, there's no way I could have ever pulled this all together if I was, the party guy I used to be back in the day. There's no way you can go in and weld tubes and construct stuff with your brain not fully kicked in. So it's been a huge catapult to get me where I am now. So very grateful for that.
I love it. I love it.
So yeah, you're the first person that has talked about that openly, and I think it's great. Even in the fact that people won't judge you and say, yeah, well, come on, have a lemonade at the bar with us, at least hang out, right? But not say, no, I'm not going. You stand up and say what you believe in and what you need to do, right? So we know you're working on a really cool project for the SEMA show, but before we get into that project, how'd you get into fabrication in cars, and what drove you to do what you're doing today? Because I know you have some side gigs now and then too.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it started from my dad. My dad was awesome, man. He was like this huge 6-foot cowboy looking fella. And for the early part of my life, he used to bring me to like drag racing and circle track stuff. We have a drag track like maybe 50 miles away. We have a circle track like 4 miles away. So he would bring me all the time. And he'd be sitting there smoking Marlboro cigarettes, drinking his whiskey in his pocket and beers and getting drunk. And it was just so much fun. But I never like got into the cars really until I was like later on in life. He always kind of forced it, right? Like, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And I was just like, eh. And then I remember the day I went to this track all the time. It was called Seekonk Speedway, and we're at like the turn number 4, and then one of the modifieds came by, which were on race gas, and I smelt that. I'm like, Dad, why does that car smell different? He's like, oh, that's race gas. And I actually remember the feeling of it. Like it was like probably just C16, but it went through my nose and I hit it. I was like, whoa, this. And that was the first time. This is like my 30th time being there. It was the first time the lights got turned on. So I started asking questions, and he was like excited because before that I wanted no part of it. So he showed me the difference between a big block and a small block and this and that. And then I got really excited when I was 15. And I went up to him and I got the courage. My dad was a working man. He didn't have much money. I was like, can we build a car? And he just went, he's like, yes, yes. What do you want to build? And he's like, we only have like, you don't have that much cash, but we can figure something out. So he went out and he bought a computer. It was right when like those big, massive computers are out. And we got on and he's like showing me different stuff. And he's a Chevy guy at heart. So he showed me this and that and that. Mm-hmm. And his first car was a 69 Camaro. And he had a Polaroid of it. He showed me that. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. And then I happened to see 70 Chevelle, and it was a red one. And I was like, oh, that's it. He's like, well, you got good taste. He's like, the bodies are a little bigger. I would prefer to get a Camaro, but I was like, if you want a Chevelle, we'll do it. So at that moment, I was working at
heavier, but
so there's like, more room in them too, right?
Yeah, you just see how fired up he was, and then I just fed off it. So I worked at Burger King, and he was a diesel mechanic, and we just worked. So I made, I think, was in a matter of like 4 or 5 months, I made $800, and he probably made whatever it was at that time, like 4,200. So we started actually looking. We looked at a bunch of them. And at this point, my dad started going downhill. He was still the sweetest, loving character, but you could tell that he was struggling. I didn't really get what it was. So he lost his license. So my grandpa, at this point, had a permit. My grandpa took his Volvo, and I picked up my dad. We had a bunch of cash, and we spent a whole day on Saturday to go look at like 3 cars. One was up north. One was a little bit farther south. First one we saw was a mess. It was a 70 Chevelle. The second one was a mess. No floors, all cut up in a junkyard kind of thing. And then the third one, which is actually this one, if I don't know if you can see it, the one that I'm building now for SEMA. Oh, right. So yeah, we looked at this one, and it was in a barn. The guy pulls it out, had 2 floor barrels on it. It was a hole cut in the floor, but it had a Muncie 4-speed. All the trim was there. It was red with black stripes. It was pretty mint. And the guy wanted something that we could afford. I forgot what it was, like $5,200. So me and my dad are ecstatic. So we make a plan. We're going to get it. We got to come back. We get more cash. So we drive back. He's drinking beer. We're jamming, listening to the doors. Like we're in the zone. We're in the pocket. We're going to get it. And then my father died 6 or 7 days later from booze. Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah. When he passed, I told the guy I couldn't get the car, and he could tell how much I wanted it, and he held on to it for like 6 months. And I used the money that we saved to bury my father. And then the guy held on the car for 6 months. And then finally, I had like a vision board, and I had, it was so dumb. I had like the motor and the stuff that I wanted to do. And my grandpa came and visited me one day, and he's like, you really want that thing, don't you? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, let's go get it. My grandpa had money, so he got the cash. We called the guy, and the guy was a saint. He held on to it for a long time. Like, he didn't have to do that.
That's cool.
And he held on to it. Then me and my grandpa got it, and I got the Polaroid here somewhere. I can show you guys where we get the car, and it pulls in. And yeah, then that was when everything, long story short, kicked in. When the car rolled in, I had it. I didn't need any work. I could have drove it, but my dad's 2 best friends, they're twins, came down and they're driving a car. Tom Kearney, if you guys see this, I love you. They were driving it, and I was like, "You think it's fast?" And they're like, "No, this is the slowest fucking car I've driven in my life." So that was a couple. So a couple weeks later, I was so mentally distraught. I just put all the money in to get this thing, and I thought it was cool. I knew it was cool, but it was slow. And then that's when this thing, like, something triggered, and I went all in. You know, I remember like my dad telling me, like, if you ever take a car apart, you got to nut and bolt. Take all the bolts and you put them in plastic baggies and you number them. So I just didn't know what I was doing. I just took the car apart. I got all the pictures of it. I took it apart, separated it. I went nuts for no reason, really. The car didn't need anything. And then my grandpa came back and he was, my mom's talking about, he had like a nuclear explosion. He just bought this thing with it. And then like 3 weeks later, the thing is at my mom's house, destroyed, body off, 2x4s, everything's apart, motors out, motors apart. And he goes, "You're an idiot. Like, what the hell are you doing?" So anyway, it took me 2 years. I put it together, and then that's when he started to get excited. And then I went to prom with it. I went to my prom. I got a picture of that. And then,
That is awesome.
yeah, the car turned into like this epic thing where like I just started tooling away with it, building it. It saved my life, to be honest with you. I was going through a dark spot when I lost them, and I built it. And the car went like into 12s, and then I got it into the 10s, and I got it into the 9s throughout my life. And I just kept on like going into it and diving into it and doing, like, driving it to the track, driving it to all these, bringing it to Florida, racing it, you know, catching it on fire. It was a catalyst. Yeah, it was a catalyst to like getting into cars, which inadvertently got me into my career of working on boats as an engineer. It's a glorified, like, really badass mechanic that lives with a boat. So I did all that, and I used that money to build my stuff. And then, I guess, long story short, I've always been into it, always did it, never really took it seriously until about 5 years ago when I got sober. When I got sober, I was walking down the road, like, and kind of reassessing my life, and this is a long story, but I realized that the boat thing wasn't where my heart was at. And I wanted to do cars, but I was scared. I didn't have the tooling. I didn't have the shop. And I realized that this old guy who I was, this drunken pirate, was fading away, and this like I don't know where it came from, but all this creative energy just took over. And all this creative energy started flowing. And I realized I was just like a sensitive, loving character who just wanted to build. I was like, Corey, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get a shop in the midst of getting sober and do all this? And I just started doing it. I remember like walking down the street one day and thinking, okay, I had like the idea of what the shop was going to look like, what it was going to smell like. And then I had the idea of like how I wanted to do this. And I also had the idea of how I always wanted to build an all-wheel drive car. It stemmed from like my the old days back with how my buddy had a Subaru and how I loved how it felt, but I wanted to do a V8. So as everything was cooking up, I went, it was the first time I felt alive in years. I was like, I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I really want to just design and fabric. I couldn't design back then. I could barely stitch together a weld. Yeah, I was hurting for certain. I can like diagnose and I could wire and I could build, and I was good mechanically, but I didn't have the skill set to like kind of go in this direction. So it was scary. It was, like to dive all in to figure all this stuff out. And I started doing it. I just started reading manuals, studying.
You just figured it out, or did you go to any night school or anything like that for welding or anything?
No, so like I used to stick stuff together back in the day, but then I started watching like the high-end guys, and I started studying, and then I started getting like into 2D software, and I started doing a little bit of 3D modeling, and I kind of just dove. It became my addiction. Like I kind of unhealthy, but I just dove into everything. Like, how would I wire this thing? How does this get here? And then I just kind of started doing it. And then as that journey happened, I got hooked up with a crew in Florida. We built a Tesla-powered race truck. And then that was the moment that I was like, this is where my heart is. Like, I just want to create. It was also hard too, because the boats paid really good money. And then being a fabricator for a shop pays like peanuts. So it's like, but I do know it was the first time I felt alive, and I realized that me designing and building and welding and creating was where I had to be. And then it was just a freakish thing, man. Like I tell you, God works in mysterious ways. I started doing stuff, started building, doing the right thing, being a good human, and then I just started building better and better and asking more questions. And then at one point, I think what got me kind of farther along was I lost the ego, so I had the ability to like go to really good people and be like, hey, what is wrong with this? Like, can you show me how to do this? And they're just like, yeah, cool. And then as I progressed, I built a couple more cars, and then I kind of kept on getting wilder and weirder and dove even more in the rabbit hole of programming and linear actuators and making things move. And there's like my whole brain would just, and I still have a long way to go, but that led me to doing the TV show for Netflix. And then again, it was like another nail in the coffin of being like, my life has to be in a place where I can create, get weird, design, build. Like I have to just produce, like something, it just has to come out, you know, good or bad. When I did the TV show for Netflix, the producer of the TV show was like, when you go back, shut up and go start your own shop. It's no time to not do this for anybody else. Go do your own. I'm like, oh, but I'm scared. I gotta buy all my equipment. And then he's like, just do it. Don't be an idiot. Like, go start your own shop. It's time for you to spread out. Because all those other years I was with other great people. And then after that, I came back, and that's how I started. I took all the money that I saved over the past few years and the money from the show, and I just went, and I dove it all into here. I ate, noodles, and I wore the same Converse shoes for a year and a half. And I wasn't really pretty on the outside, but here the shop was, I got the new compressor, and then I got the new bandsaw, and then I did this and I did that. I didn't date or do anything else. I just was here 12 hours a day, and it was scary.
Well,
it was really...
I want to touch on real quick. Like, I want to jump back. You made a statement and you kind of dismissed the statement, but I don't want you to, because I think it's important not only for yourself, but also for our audience to see the value in, you'd made the statement about having a vision board and essentially having affirmations to get to where you are. That is not by chance, that is by purpose. And I absolutely love that you have that, because I think that if more people put a lot of effort into that, like really sitting down with what they want and how they want to apply themselves to it, and kind of exploring what that purpose is and being open to it and not feeling so like, pigeonholed into something, and just learning how to be a little bit more fluid in their life. I think that a lot more people would be a lot happier, but also, like find some flow in their life. And I think that you've successfully done that. Obviously, like you said, it's not just about, like, hey, I made some significant life choices, right, in not drinking anymore, but just taking on opportunity, being open enough to say, hey, I don't have all the answers. And I know that in order to get there, I am absolutely going to have to, healthy or unhealthy, be obsessed about learning and digging into this, because that by all means is the only way that we get to be better at what we do, is by committing ourselves to it. And I am a 100% believer in, if you continue to come back to something, there is a reason for it, right? Like, you don't just love something, go away from it, and then, like never have interest in it again. If you continue to come back to it, there is absolutely 100% a reason. And you hit it on the head of saying God works in mysterious ways, because he most definitely does.
Yeah, and I think back to what you said there too. I think the one thing that I learned, I think the one tool that I got in my arsenal above all things is when I did get sober, I had the ability to look inwards and like realize that everything was backwards and everything was not what it seemed. And I didn't judge myself for it. I realized, okay, my life at one point was going this way. I don't like it. Let's let it go. And then crossing into the new realm where I didn't know how to do this stuff. I was super scared and I was very vulnerable because, doing this and putting it out there, like there was a lot of dirty years where I was like, not a good fabricator,
Right.
Not a good fabricator, didn't know what I was doing. And I was learning in real time. And even now, I mean, there's guys who are like incredible. And I look at them and I watch their stuff and I'm just like, I'll get there one day. And then realizing that I have this huge hill to climb, but also super excited that I'm finally following my dream.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part. Like realizing I got a long way to go. I want to do this. I don't really know what's on the other side of it, but I have to dive in, and it's okay to put everything else behind me and just go for. I was starting fresh. I'm 38 now. So 5 or 6 years ago is when I started. So I was like, early 30s when my whole life went upside down. And I realized I just changed careers, if you think about it, and going into this, and like, let's be honest, being a fabricator or designer, your toolbox has to be so big. Like you have to be so multifaceted and learn it. And for me to start from zero to get in it was like, oh, are you sure? You just don't want to go knit or, you should want to do something else so I can go. I could do the boat thing. I could do the boat thing the rest of my life and make good money and had a house and a wife by now. But I put that all away so I could, at the end of this life say, hey, I went for it. It was something I love. I tell you what, like from the bottom of my heart, I don't know where this is all going. I don't know what's happening, but it feels good and it also scares the crap out of me. Like to show up every
Then
day.
that's exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm building a car for SEMA, and to get to the caliber that I want with this thing over here is money that I never even thought about. Me just buying the part.
Yeah.
Luckily I can build it all, but the parts itself is scary. And then keeping the lights on and then doing a venture with the Chevelle, to like make my sponsors happy. Sometimes I sit there and I'm like, it's all going out, not really anything's coming in. But while I'm doing it, I'm just sitting there like I'm building. I'm having I'm getting better. Here we go.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. This is Jason with AMD, and you're watching the Gearheads and Gasoline podcast. Check this out.
What I, you talk about addiction and alcohol. You shifted your addiction in a good way. You're addicted to what you're doing now in cars. You also said, I'm going to continue learning. You're always learning. If you think you know everything, you don't, right? So continue to learn. You've invested in quality equipment and things like that. I don't work on cars for a living, but I've always worked on stuff. And for years I was asked, what do you want for Christmas? I need this. I need these tools. I need this. I was always getting more tools, and I still am spending money on that. But having the right equipment to do that. As far as the TV show, how did that help you? I guess you're not doing that anymore, right? But how did that help you get more work, or how did it help you to the next chapter of, we're talking about building this Chevelle and going to SEMA and things like that?
Well, I'll be very honest with you. I don't think it helped out much. I think this is not in a negative way, but when it comes to like marketing and pure followers and notoriety, it was on Netflix and it hit. I think we were in top 4 or 5 for a couple of weeks. But like what you think would happen from it compared to what actually happens from it is not what you think. The followers don't bump up. The people don't get flooded your inbox with like, I need to build me a car. It's more like, hey, I'm from Portugal. What you did was really cool. And I'm like, awesome. So it doesn't really translate like that. I thought it would. It was kind of one of my, I got to be honest with you. I was so proud to do that show. Like when that opportunity hit that at the time but no, I geared up for that thing. So when they gave me the notice, I did like multiple things. I trained to get all fit. And then I studied everything I possibly could with the weird back end of it, like Arduinos and doing all this and like design aspects that would maybe put me more over the top for the show. And then I also like fasted, ate perfectly, slept. So when I went in there, I was like, this is my one shot to show the world what I got. And I went nuts. Like there was a car where the girl was like, can you just put a little hammock in there? And I made a articulating hammock with 1 5/8 chromoly tubing. I designed all the pivot points. So you hit a button and it unpins and it turns into a 7-foot hammock. Like I went nuts. So like when I left there, I drove home from California back across the States and I got teary eyed. I was like, dude, I gave it my all, so I did that part of it, but like, and I'm so proud of it, but the translation into work coming in the shop, nothing. Like it doesn't work like that. But it was me, doing my own videos, which we get into, that kind of got the shop to flourish.
That helped with that though, right? Did it help with your camera presence and things like that? One of our guests, Jason Wanga from the Creative Workshop, talked about a brick, right? Every little thing you do is a brick in the things that you do, whether it's, that first build or getting on TV or hitting a certain number in your social media, right? I'm sure that adds up.
Yeah, I think it more helps with people who meet me knowing that I can do the thing that I'm going to say that I do. I think it gives you a receipt. If you can do this, then what I say I'm going to do next is I'm probably going to do it. You know what I mean? Like it kind of lines up with that. This guy can do it. He gets through it, and he's also can take the pressure. When it came to the camera thing, I got to be honest. I take my work very seriously, but I don't take myself seriously. So that was easy. I just showed up and went bing bong, whatever the thing was, and like got weird, and like I didn't care how people thought of me. I just really cared. You'll see it. You'll see the flip switch. I'll be like talking about something weird, being goofy. And then when I start designing, the blinders come on. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this. I'm going to go here. I'm going to do that. Leave me alone. Let me build it. So it was, I think for the TV show, it was very easy for me to hop into that because I don't care. Like you can call me short or have a weird haircut. But when it came to my work, I was like, I'll show these guys.
So I can say from my experience doing stuff with Street Outlaws is that when you're on camera, when you're on a show, like there is a lot of stuff that is happening around you, but you still are tasked with doing what you normally do, right? So that doesn't really impact who you are as a person. It just impacts sometimes them getting in the way of what you actually need to do. But how that does translate into, you know, what you do in your future business, right, isn't necessarily a one-to-one. But where it does come in at is that now as you're starting to create all these videos on your own, you might, whether you know it or not, have a different perspective of how you showcase what you're doing.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, so I never created videos before that. And then again, Mike, Mike, if you ever watched this, thank you, because he was the one who was like, you need to like go and like just start recording and doing your thing. I'm like, nah, who wants to watch me build an El Camino? Who wants to watch me build a Chevelle? And then it did start a long time ago when I worked at that place called Salvage. We built a Tesla powered race truck. I saw the power of the media with building this truck over the time. So I knew it was there, but yeah, when I left, he was the guy, and a couple of this other guy, Hugh, was like, when you get back, record, just start doing it. And I'm like, oh my God, it was scary. That was another scary thing. I have to learn how to buy a camera. So when I came back, you'll see the progression. I came back like 2 years ago. I started the videos, and the first video was like, hello, I'm Donald. Today we're going to be doing it. And then, boy, they sucked, you know? But what was really cool that came from it was when I watched the TV show, I started noticing, it was actually when it came out, I noticed the tricks. There was this really cool guy, Brownie, who was a cameraman, who would get the camera and he would flip it in my face and then flip it down and do all this weird stuff. And then what he was doing was changing the frame rate and doing, you know, high speed, low speed stuff. And I saw that in the show and I'm like, then I started to get like, so it took me a couple of videos. But when I started to flow with it, I think I did like one with a Beatles song on it. I did like a speed ramp and I cut back down. I had me like doing a slow-mo shot. I did another video with like a Waylon Jennings one where you see my foot going like this, welding. And that's when I got the chills and I was like, oh, all right. I like making videos. You know, I like, this is real. And then that's when the other ticket kind of went off, because before videos were a chore. I think it was after that Waylon Jennings one that I did. And I looked at it and I go, this sounds weird, but when I do a really good video that I really like, either a YouTube or a short, I get the chills or I get a little teary eyed when I watch it. I just stare at it. And that's how I know I did a good one. And then that's how I know that like my stuff is in the pocket. You know, if I look at it once, I'm like, and I put it out there as junk. But if I do the ones where I'm staring at it and I like it, that's when I caught that bug about a year and a half ago.
Nice. That's awesome.
I love that. I absolutely love it. As somebody who does, so I do social media every freaking day. And I can tell you that, you know, like it's really cool to see when my clients can take content that I've either created for them or advice that I had given them with regards to what visuals they use, similar to what you're referring to, or in general, like just content on its own. It's really cool to see them get excited about it. It's really cool to see that content do well. It's really cool to see their growth. But I 100% agree that there is just something really special about when those moments you create something that isn't always about like, hey, I'm super proud of it, but you know that specific piece just hits right.
Yeah. And I'm learning, like, so the year and a half ago is when I really got into it. I started doing my YouTube. That was a struggle bus. Like, going from long form to short form and trying to make a 20-minute video make sense. Now, at Salvage, I knew how to place the camera. My TV show, I kind of figured out what I wanted. But the whole progression went, when I started to really fall in love, I just went nuts. Like, I got the mic, and I did this, and then I went to Final Cut, and I got this, and I realized my frame rates were messed up, and I realized that I was only doing 1080, so I went to 4K, and I started filming differently. So, like, I was like, oh. But then, like, learning my style was cool. And then I also learned something, too. Like, my style on the short, for the long-form stuff works really well. I went from, like, 0 to 100,000. Like, whatever's in that pocket of the YouTube seems to really resonate. Because it's, like, it's slow, it's fun, but it's not too slow. And I just get to I don't show you any... There's nothing bogus in there. It's like, bang, 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 bang. The work is done. Here's the product. I don't just sit there and just waste time. Anyway, so that works. But my short form stuff, my buddy, there's a guy Niles that I follow, and his Instagram is nuts. Like I met him at SEMA, and he was the one who's like, "You're not telling the story." My long form, I tell the story, I introduce it. My short form was like a swept up camera angle and slow mo, and the part that I'm welding and me doing it, and then like the Door song playing in the background, and like for me visually it looks cool, but nobody was, like I guess really understanding it, so the views weren't there. He was the one who was like, "You need to tell your story and explain it every single time, front to back." And I was like,
yeah.
And now I'm trying to do that more, me talking and moving and trying to introduce that. But the old guy in me still wants to just do some Door song and me welding, So so I'm learning. I haven't quite got the short form stuff yet. That's more artistic, but the long form, I feel like I'm starting to maybe gain some headway. Just being honest and fun and building without taking myself too seriously seems to be working.
Well, I've watched a number.
And I just want to hold on real quick, Barry. I want to interject and say you don't get to use the term old guy. You can use old soul. You don't get to use the term old guy because both Barry and I exceed you
by a lot.
So you can be an old soul all day long.
I'm like at the cusp, I have like this young heart, but I'm 38, so I'm like a man boy right now. I got the grays coming in, but I still feel like a boy at heart. It's a trippy time for me. It's weird. I'm going through a midlife crisis as we talk.
You're like that's normal, right? I'm going to tell you. I've been married for 14 years, and I can say for sure that my husband will always be a man boy. Like there is no
change.
He always has the heart of a child.
Well, let me say this. Once you just enjoy your time right now, because when you hit 50, I'm sorry, but I've seen it happen. Shit goes downhill from there. So enjoy your time as a youngster. Okay. But back to, go ahead.
No, this is one thing that I do want to mention that I think is really cool about what we're doing in this sport. So like, talk about age, and this is the one thing that got me really excited when I dove in, because if I wanted to be a football star, well, first you have to be built for it, but let's pick something like that, some sort of a sport. If you want to be a pro at that, you have to start from a very young age. You have to get really good. You have to have genetic talent, and then you have to like hit your prime before you age out. 36 or 35, your receptor starts slowing down, whatever. Some sports you can be a little older, but the cool thing about what we're doing, media, building cars, it's all here. So like your brain just gets saturated. So me and you, all of us just get better. And if we push, you can stagnate out, right? You can also fall down if you don't take it seriously. But I will always become a better and better fabricator and designer and video maker, long as I keep my brain open, keep the ego down. You just, and then we'll never age out. I mean, I'm sure when I'm like 95, I'll be like, oh, I can't stick something together, but cross that bridge when we get there. But I can become the best I want until I lose interest. That's why building cars, designing, being in this field is by far one of the biggest blessings, because you just can keep on pushing, and you'll never there's guys that I follow they're still getting better and better and better and better and better. And they're already at the top, So it's like, there's no end to it, which is pretty amazing.
Look at Don Garlitz. He's like in his 90s and he's still working on his cars in the shop and things like that. So that's huge. And there is a big difference. I want to go back to your videos. I watched a number of them and compare that to some of the TV shows I've watched, because from my aspect, I like having a little fun, having the personality, but I want to see how you're doing it, what you're building, things like that. There's been a number of shows in the past on TV that it's like, I turned them off. I don't want to listen to you guys argue. Show me how you're building it. That's what I like about Kindig's show, Bits and Rides. They have some fun, but they show you, this is how we're doing this. This is why we're doing this. And you're doing that as well. So I'd say that's a great formula to continue with that. As far as the Chevelle, okay, we're taking an hour-ish of your time today. There's no front end on that. You have how many days to get it before you start driving across country? Tell us about that whole SEMA deal and the.
You're making me nervous now.
Right?
Thanks for putting me in the hot seat there, Barry.
I have faith that he's going to jam it together. It's going to be freaking awesome. We're going to see him at the SEMA show, but I'd be nervous.
Yeah, we have a long way to go. But actually, I wanted to dive into something that you said that was pretty incredible. It's kind of a back thing that I've realized. I think for years and years, this is about the videos and the marketing stuff and like how people present their stuff. This is like a really big rabbit hole I've been getting myself into because I'm trying to study it all. Because I was with my girl the other day, and I was like, why do some things work and some things don't work? But what I think is awesome for people like us now is there's a little bit of like the wow factor you have to make something stand out. There's also a lot of the fakeness back in the day. I think a couple of years ago, people were really primed up on the weird and wacky, dark, and I think there's a huge shift going on where people now don't want to see perfect, pristine, fake. People want to see the normal person achieving incredible things. And I think it's opening up an awesome space for us now because I don't know how do I word this? Back in the day, people were like really big into A-list celebrities, the best, the perfect. People are like, they don't care. And when it comes to social media, I feel like it's the same thing. People don't care about the $1 million builds. People are losing interest. Now it's cool. All right. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking anybody who's doing that. They're putting all their effort into it. But like people want to see the normal everyday man and woman win. So when somebody shows up and they're like, hey, I'm doing this. I'm scared. I'm nervous. I'm going to do this with you guys. People people want real and authentic. And that's the hard part
100%.
of learning this line of like doing the Instagram stuff is how do I captivate an audience and get really crazy, but also still be authentic at my heart? And I think that's why, like, for me, it's easier because I just like to create. So maybe I create something and people don't like it. It doesn't matter. I still had fun with it. And I could do that wacky thing. I still got to create it. So that's what's been working. But I think there's something really cool happening, especially now, this huge shift where a lot of the content creators who are authentic and real, they're going to start shining because people don't want to see the, hi, welcome to my YouTube. People want to be like, hey man, like I'm on the struggle bus. Like I got to do this. I can't figure it out. So let's try to do it. You know what I mean? Like people want to see that now. And I think it's giving us a real shot.
100%. And I mean, there are tons of, different creators and shops and people out there that are building authentically, right? That they're just like, hey, I want to not only document this process for you, right, to bring you along that journey, but for myself, right? Because at some point you're going to have a reflection on your life of what you've created, what you've done, what you've achieved, and having that essential visual documentation of it is a game changer, right? So like I'd mentioned before, like Cletus is by far one of the most popular guys out there on YouTube. Like his ability to build YouTube for other people is absolute insane. But it's because he is just what I would say, I hope you take this as a compliment. What I would say very comparative to you in personality of just having fun, being you. Sometimes that means being a little weird or being a little odd or, coming off and saying quirky things or whatnot, but it's authentic to who you are. And that is very much how Cletus is that he is just, hey, this is what we're doing right now. Him and his guys have fun. And does he have it all figured out? Because you see a lot of the crap that he does not have figured out, but he's got so many followers because people resonate with that, right? That they're like, hey, I could try that. I could do that. And you're 100% right. The authenticity part is the ticket.
Well, I think I remember when I started following him was when he had that Corvette and he was out there and it was just a journey. Like there was no ego with him. There was no like, I'm going to break this record. I'm going to break the internet. He's like, I'm going to, and that's what I'm saying. Like there's this cool window that's opening for guys like us to go out there and like, I see it all the time. There's the really toxic side where it's like, I'm going to break the internet. I just do this. Nobody does like me. It's like, no, I don't think anybody really cares. Like just be you and somebody will resonate with it. Just show up, be you, and that your audience will find you in which way it is. Just be you. With the part that I thought was weird about me, I wanted to hide it. In the videos at like the old place and the beginning of this, I was very professional and, and then it wasn't until some people like let it out and I let it out and people like, oh, this guy's awesome. This is cool. So it's like, just be you and people will follow it. And that's all that matters.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people see that personality. They also see that you figure it out and they're maybe working on their own shop or garage. They want to do something and they don't have they're like, I don't think I could do that. But then they see you doing it and you talking about how you learned or how you figured it out. Right. And maybe there's more out there to go, maybe I can figure this out and do it. Right.
Right.
Yeah. I think there's
apply yourself. Right.
I think there's also, so I started learning about it. I'm not going to be able to quote it. There's like 4 archetypes of of storytelling, right? I wish I could word this better. There was the teacher, the leader, there's something else, and there's also called the hero's journey. And the hero's journey had like 2 parts, the Clark Kent or the Superman you can take. Taking the Superman route was like, I am the best, I am the only one, come follow me. Then the teacher one can get you in a rabbit hole. Like if I turn this whole thing into a teaching YouTube, it probably would not work out. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I have information to give, but I just want you to come along. So that's kind of like, we think about, I didn't even realize this till I started doing it. My videos are like the Clark Kent side of the hero's journey, which means people are watching their friend go through this, good and bad. But and I just naturally, my personality is the Clark Kent guy. Like I can do some really crazy, weird stuff, but I don't ever boister about it. I just like, I gotta like, here we go, and then it makes it fun to watch. So I didn't realize that was happening until I started watching it and like studying this stuff.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Annette Bauer Creative. At Annette Bauer Creative, we understand the power of visual storytelling in transforming brands and driving growth. From capturing the essence of your products and services to showcasing the unique solutions you offer, our professional imagery and reels help bring your brand to life. Fuel your brand and ignite your vision at AnnetteBauerCreative.com.
That's awesome. I love it.
I didn't think we were going to be talking about archetypes today, but
I hope I didn't butcher it.
Hey.
I read it. I read it. It was in here.
Oh, that's great.
I think this is something. So, I mean, this all applies to marketing, right? Because this is how you level up, right? We take things in our business and we invest in them, we study them, we become obsessed with them, we really kind of lean into our passions, and that is what makes us different, right? That is what makes us different from everybody else. Like I can tell you, I've heard so many times, countless times, so I do very novice truck builds. And when I was making decisions on what color I wanted to make my lift, I literally went through a series of different colors like purples and blues and oranges and, all these things. And quite literally every person that I engaged with on what those colors were like, I mean, it's cool, but it's not really who you are. It's not really your brand. And you, over time, like you had mentioned, style, you create your brand, you create your style, sometimes unknowing to yourself. It's just part of who you are and how you grow. And so when I really stood back and like, okay, maybe I'm trying to be something that I'm not, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to force something. And when I came back to what my brand is, everybody was like, this is what, who you are. Not to say like you have to be this mold of what people think, but like being true to who you are. So I think it's great that you kind of figured that path and you're just growing and thriving in it.
Yeah, and I'm still learning, so my videos were doing good. So I'll be frank with you, the all-wheel drive El Camino ones, like I'm still a small channel, but for me, it's so much easier to make the videos do well because it's like, I'm building an all-wheel drive El Camino, here we go, and it's like that. And then my heart, I like the El Camino because, I don't know if you can see it. Bang, all-wheel drive. But the El Camino for me is my space where I can really get weird, right? And that's why I love it. Yeah. And I love the design of it. This is like my my fabrication, like wide open throttle, pushing myself, and that's why I love it. And the Chevelle, I have this amazing story, and it's like sentimental, and it's normal, right? It's like more of a normal thing. Right. When I make videos of the Chevelle, like they haven't done good, like so it's like, oh man, so it's like how do I keep the channel rocking? I talk to some YouTube guys who are like, just do it in one episode or just focus on the Chevelle. And my heart's like, man, I want to get this thing done. I want to enjoy it, create content with it. Maybe it doesn't do good, but it's like a sacrifice. I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out. And then I guess where I'm going with this is I want the channel to go to a place where I can build weird stuff. My heart is like, I want to maybe build hovercraft. Maybe I want to build a sailboat with a big block that does 20 knots so I can go in a regatta and who knows? I want to get really weird. So I tried getting weird not too long ago, and I built a propeller powered car, right? So I kept it secret. I brought a Subaru, and I did it all. I did all the stuff. I put 2 blades on it and 2 motors, and the fabrication was wild, and it worked. I didn't finish it where I went for a beat run, but I drove it down the road with no brakes, and a video bombed. And then I was like, what? I just spent like $4,800 on this thing. 3 weeks. I worked 12-hour shifts on it by myself, locked in the shop. This was going to be my way to the next level of YouTube. And then I butchered my intro. I didn't do the intro right. I didn't explain it. I also showed it kind of working. And something that I thought was going to easily put me in the next echelon did nothing. And then I put one video of me building a push rod suspension for the El Camino. It's like, you know, so it's like, it's like I don't get it, but you got to just keep on following the heart, you know.
At the heart of what we do in our industry, right? Like I am truly one of those oddities when it comes to females of like, for me, watching a motor being built, being able to see, you know, all the parts and pieces, the pistons, like when you bore a cylinder, when you do all of those, you know, machining things, like to me, like that's the jewelry, right? Like that's the beauty behind the, you know, the heart of what you are investing in, what your passion is. And so for me, like I think all those things are really, really cool. And that is definitely one of those things that I really encourage my clients to show more of, especially if they're in that space, is at the heart of who we are as an industry. We all love to see the mechanics of what we do, the fabrication, the, you know, like the little detail things that somebody else doesn't necessarily know how to do, but they sure as hell love it. So when we try to build something that we're like, this is going to be the next thing, this is going to be innovative, this is going to be, a lot of times I do see those things bomb because it isn't necessarily like what is true to, you know, like what your channel is or what you've historically built or what your people know you for, or, you know what I mean? Like, and you're right. Sometimes it is just one of those weird anomalies where you're like,
sometimes it's the algorithm, right? The algorithm controls a lot of stuff too, right?
I wish
that we have no control over.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how it all works out. All I know is that every video I try to make it better, smoother.
Yeah.
You know, even like 7 months ago, I started adjusting all my audio levels and like then like fading things in and out to blend it. If I don't go to an abrupt stop. If something happens, I'll put like a transition out with a drone in the sunset and Sunday at 5 a.m. whatever the thing is. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know if it works or not, but like I'm just trying to get better and better. Right now, going back to the Chevelle, I'm actually like super nervous about the video for this one. It's super special. So if you guys saw it, I had it, and then my sponsors, I started building it a few months ago. A year ago, I kind of did some stuff with it. The videos bombed, but then I didn't care. I just like really wanted to go for it. And people were like, oh, how was the El Camino? I started doing that. Nobody watched it. And then I was like, man, I just want to finish it. I just like my dad, I got over the pain of my dad. And I was sitting here with my family, and they were like, when are you going to finish it? I'm like, I think it's time. So I started working on it. And I don't know how this spiraled out of control like 2 months ago, but I asked one of my, I think I asked Haltech, I'm like, do you mind if we take that one on too? And they're like, yeah, of course. And I'm like, the videos aren't really going to perform. They're like, man, I don't care. And then Ride Tech came on. Blaine, if you watch this, I love you. He came on, gave me all the suspension. I'm like, okay, cool. All right, here we go. We got the cars kind of coming together. And then I found out my short block was blown up. And then I was like, all right, well, I'm going to put something in there. So here's that part of getting weird, but also doing it because it feels good. You know, I didn't have the money for a NASCAR motor. So I started doing some research, and I realized the Coyote was really cool. And I did a lot of research. I dove into it for like 2 weeks, called everybody I knew. I was like, I'm going to put a Coyote in it. So then I started that process. And as soon as that happened, the turbo sponsor came on, HPT came on, a couple other people came on, Automotive came on board. They all kind of switched gears to this. And I was like, all right, I'm built. This is coming together. And then I talked to one of the guys at SEMA I met about a year ago. I was like, if I drove it out there, would you like want to be a part of it? And he goes, yeah. And they're trying to show normal people building real stuff. You know, they have this thing where they have multi-million-dollar cars, and they also have people with no drive shafts, right? They want some story and some heart in the middle of it. And the car's not nice on the outside. It's the same color when I was a kid. So I was like, man, what if I drove it there? Would it make up for the car not being nice? How can you roast me if I drove the car there, right? Like, and that was like the kind of the switch. I talked to my family about it, and they're like, you got like a month and a half, 2 months. then I did it. I just kind of signed up for it, and now I've been here ever since, hammering it out. And this is the most scared I've ever been in my life, and it's the most nervous I've ever been.
I love
I'm trying to
it.
ride the line of like real fabrication. Like, you'll see the turbo kit on it. If I show you, the turbo kit is like, it's what I can really. I wasn't gonna rush it. It's just blendy,
Yeah.
smooth, everything angled out. But then, the body is just a train wreck. It's all red. It's got like a fire mark on it. It's got Bondo on it. But the motor and the placement and the engineering is all perfect. The turbos are all
It's
gonna look
got
good.
lots of patina, right? And I'll say, I'm a Chevelle guy, and putting a Coyote motor in it to me is sacrilege, but I think it's cool. I can't wait to see it at SEMA. And I know that SEMA, you talked about the right to repair, right to modify thing. That's one of the big things on SEMA's list right now that we need to get past, and that's tied to this, right?
Yes. So the whole idea is we're going to travel out there, we'll promote it and market it. And like, let's be real, if the Right to Repair Act and guys like us, how does it affect? Am I going to be able to do something like this later on down the road?
Right.
Is this going to be all banned? So it kind of goes down there. So we're going to really hash that out and put that out there. But I want to get back to them and show people, and also show kids, man, like, how can I word this? Our sport's dying, it's dying, and it's dying at a pretty, yeah, and it's dying at a rapid rate. And I can think about myself being 20 years old and coming onto Instagram now or social media and seeing some of the stuff that I read. There was other day, some young kid who's like in the Midwest put a picture of his tank that he built, which was awesome. The kid's like 20. The dimes weren't all perfect, and like 50-year-old guys were roasting him. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, you guys are doing this to people that could be like the prime of like making our sport run. We're all going to age out at some point, right? And we got to back these kids up.
Yeah.
So they come in there, and the whole sport is about, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to go A to B. I'm the best. I got the da-da-da-da. And it's like, you guys are killing it. How I look at all this stuff is, this is the coolest thing you'll ever do. It's an art project mixed with a science project all in one, and it rolls, and you get the visceral feel of it. So you can do whatever you want. You want to build a Honda? Go all in. You want to build a drag car that makes 4,000 horsepower? Go all in. You want to build a 70 Chevelle that makes 1,400 horsepower with a Coyote in it? Go all in.
Let's go.
And that's how I look at it now, because if we teach these kids, you can do whatever you want with this. Maybe you just want to lower your car. Maybe you want to go nuts like I did and spend years figuring out how to do it. It doesn't matter. There's a whole realm of it, but just do it and enjoy it. And we got to be the ambassadors for that, to show them. And I also think having these $1 million builds is awesome, and it's cool to look at. And then having the people that do it maybe for the clout, that's the way that you want to go. But we got to teach the kids also there's a healthy way to do this. And it's like, whatever you like, go into it, have fun, love it. Just, get wild, get weird.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody judge you for it.
Yeah, for sure. I have some good news for you, though. Keith, one of my team members, and I went out to Buffalo Coffee and Cars here last weekend. It's one of the biggest coffee and cars in the area. There were so many young people there just looking at all, and there was cars there, everything from rat rides to C10 trucks to Lambos to McLarens, $1 million cars, to everything in between. And there were so many young people digging into really looking at the cars detail. They weren't just passing them. They were going, hey, check that out. That's cool. So there is some hope, Annette and I are big on the youth engagement side. So we love hearing this and hearing what you're saying. And Keith mentioned, he says, did you notice all the kids? I go, yeah.
Well, there's hope, and it comes from us. We've got to be the pioneers, the people in the front showing, hey, you can do this. There is no entry fee. Just get into it and go for it, and we got your back. And if we can do that and show it, but it's across the board. I think we got to show people this is cool again. How did this all start? It started from guys back in the day, fix up their carburetors so they can outrun the cops. They're changing the jets here and there and figuring this. Oh, I made 1 horsepower more. Here I'm doing 45, Clarence. Here we go. It turned into that to like what it is now. So we got to get back to that. Like just get something, tool around with it, have fun, enjoy it.
As great as I think that social media is, from the perspective of giving us a view into somebody else's life, right? Like the things that you do, learning, like, gosh, how many of us have learned so many different things from YouTube as a whole, I think those are gifts. but it is equally the worst thing that has ever hit our society, especially as it comes to for kids, right? Is exactly what you said. Like, kids pour their heart into something either because they were introduced to it by their parents, or maybe they saw something that really sparked something in them, and for them to share that, and for an older generation to come in and, like you said, and roast them on it, is the absolute worst thing that we can do, not only for our sport but for that individual as they grow, right? Because that one moment can completely alter their future direction, because they take that to heart. Some of them, they don't know how to separate somebody being a complete ass and not knowing how to have a good conversation, or how to even do the things that that person did, and be, have some kind of opinion on it. So I agree that I think that there is some really great things about it, and then some really terrible things about it. But I 100% agree that it is our due diligence to help the next generation and the generations behind that to really get on board and to support and continue to grow our industry and keep it thriving.
Yeah, and if there's any advice for anybody who's watching this, I have a very cool inclination of, like, if who you're talking to is somebody you should even worry about. People who are really doing this stuff and are really intrinsically in tuned with engineering or the build or the stuff, if they watch you, and if you are doing something wrong, they'll approach it and are really, because they care and they see it and they like it. They don't have anything to prove. I was building my all-wheel drive system for this, and there was something that I did. What was it? Oh, it was the way I placed my upper and lower control arms and anti-dive and pro-dive properties. I did it like a Corvette where it had a ton of anti-dive. There's this guy I met who's my friend now, Mark McDonald, and he's like, he messaged me, hey, I want to show you something. You got a minute to talk? And I didn't no clue who he was. He was a guy who built a unicorn truck. And he's like, I need you to be able to put pro-dive in. I'm like, what are you talking about? So he talked to me for an hour and a half while I was here. And as I'm looking him up, and I'm like, oh, no way. This is the dude who built the all-wheel drive truck. And anyway, so I'm listening to him, and he's like, I just think you should be able to add pro dive into it and do this. And you think you should change your idea of how you're doing the geometry from the Corvette stuff to this and that. And I just noted it up, studied it, went through it, and then like took all those implications and made like a unit that I could actually adjust all my. He totally changed how it happened. That's coming from a guy who does the stuff, right? He's in the thing and he has something positive to say. The people who just say weird stuff, they're not doing the thing. They're just like home. And
he didn't have to take the time out to talk to you about that, but he did because he wanted you to learn more and think about it a little differently, right? I think that's great, because there's a lot of people out there that won't do that, or there's a lot of people out there that will just ignore it, right, and not give you advice.
Well, I think it comes from if the people are on the top that know it, when they look at your stuff, they usually don't judge because they're so in the mix of doing what they're doing. When they look down on what you're doing, they usually just to help to bring you up. Those are the good people.
Yeah.
The people that are the people that are usually bashing you for what you're doing are down here because they're on their couch and they're like, I could build that better than you. And it's like, that's how you can tell. Just don't even worry about it. So like,
we call them keyboard warriors, right? They're fighting behind the keyboard. They never say any of that stuff to you in person, for sure. You just got to ignore those people for sure. And that's talking to anybody that has social media. Look at your feed, but ignore the haters.
Or just ask them, are you okay? Yeah. Like, really, the people that like do that stuff are going through something. You know what I mean? Like, if you're out here and you're pushing the limits and you're trying to do all this cool stuff and you're designing and putting it out for the world, you're creating free content. So it's like, if you don't like it, just don't watch, man. It's like, I'll say that all the time. Like, if you don't like what I'm doing, I appreciate the input. Just tune out. It's like, it's as easy as that.
I have a friend who is, he promotes races, and he is such a big-hearted guy. And so when somebody comes online, because he'll do online chats, or he posts something and somebody comes in and bashes, like, he truly takes it to heart. Like, to him it's very personal because he invests a lot of his time and stuff into it. And the thing that I remind him, as well as all of my clients, is you are 100% always going to have haters. But here's the key, right? The perspective that I want you to take from it is that I don't care if you have one hater, I don't care if you have 50 haters. The fact of the matter is that they're still watching your channel, they're still helping it grow, and they're still potentially, if you're at that level, making you money. So let them hate. Let them do whatever it is that they love doing, because at the end of the day, they're still on your coattails.
Yeah, that's something I've been really thinking about too when it comes to marketing. There's a couple of guys that I watch, or I did really enjoy to watch. They went to the dark side with rage bait, and I didn't really know that was a thing until a couple of months ago. And I was looking at their stuff previously, and it was fun, it was happy, it was like it was progress. And then all of a sudden, it turns into like, whop, the needle goes this way. I'm like, what the heck happened? And they'll find something that triggers people, and they keep on doing it and doing it. And one of them came out the other day and said, I made $2,000 off this post, and I still couldn't help myself. I'm like, man, I really hope I would never go down that line, because I want my stuff to be able to give. I say that now. I want myself to give back and be positive, but it's like, yeah, that rage bait thing is like a real thing, like doing stuff just to promote and get people angry. There's another guy that I watch who's huge with it, and I watch his stuff, and even I'm like, golly, like, what are you? And then,
I've stopped watching people because of it. There's people that like I have legitimately raced with, and I'm like, I am not interested in watching our content because of that exact reason. Like that's just not something that I personally get behind. Like if you're going to come on my channel or you're going to come on my page and you're going to say something that is negative, that's fine, whatever. I don't have to fuel that. But if your entire channel becomes something about that, then I get to choose, just like you said, you don't like my stuff, keep scrolling. I get to choose to not, be part of that content.
Yeah.
And it's pretty sad that money drives stuff like that, because that's all they're doing. They're trying to make more money, right? They went to the dark side, right?
And I think about it too, and we can't all be hippie. I can't use that word. Hold on, what's a better word for that? we can't all be sunshines and rainbows and everything's positive and loving. So I do think there's a part of the negative, but I also think, what are the long-term effects? Like, what happens tomorrow if I started figuring out the niche of how I would rage bait, and I rage bait everything? If I did something totally opposite of how maybe my Chevelle's like a family story. My dad, it means a lot. It's like the real thing. What if I was like, I'm building the world's first Coyote powered Chevelle, and this is why I'm better than you? If I were to do that and I were to uptick it, how does that hurt me for the long haul? How I look at it is the long haul. If I come in this thing and I build it and I love it, and I do the El Camino the same way, I'm like, this is me on this journey. Come tag along. I really want to show you how we're going to figure this out. Or if I came in and I was like, this all-wheel drive El Camino is going to be the fastest El Camino. That's all-wheel, and it's like, yeah, that might work here, but how does it keep me? So I don't even think about that stuff.
I don't think it works long term.
Plus, I'm too sensitive. I'm too sensitive and too loving, so I can't take all the bad comments. I'd be like, just leave me alone. I want to just build,
Stop being mean to me.
Leave me alone. I just want to build.
So how close are you to being ready to roll out the door and head to Vegas?
Golly, not even close, my boy. This is the first time I've ever been stressed. And I'm just telling myself, I figured out a way to stay up like 14 or 15-hour days. So I just build all day, and I crash around 4. I take a nap here in the shop. I go home, take a shower, and come back, and I just keep on going. But yeah.
He sounds like Tom Barry.
What's that?
I said he sounds like Thomas.
Yeah, he does a lot. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I don't know if you know who Thomas Dickerson is, but we had him on the podcast a while back ago, and him and his dad are like just going 100% to the next level. But he very much, just like you said, he was like, I frequently don't eat because I just keep going through stuff and, take naps in the shop and all those things. So
he ended up in the hospital while he was in school. Yeah.
My biggest problem right now is what I've learned is being a YouTube guy. All right, being a really good YouTube guy and a really good fabricator are two totally different opposite ends of the spectrum. And I noticed that I went and I hung out with a guy who does full-time YouTube, and he's very creative and very good at YouTube stuff. And the builds are like kind of never ever finished, right? It's always like someone's always going on, and you look at the fit and finish of it, and it's like, okay, cool. And then I know on this end, there's like the guys that I really admire, and to get there takes forever. So the part that I'm struggling with right now is they're both kind of getting hit. I don't think my YouTube video is really going to be that epic because I'm editing it myself and I'm building the car. And I don't think the car is like the El Camino where everything's high and perfectly tight. Now there's some stuff that I cannot be acceptable. The geometry has to be perfect. The car actually has to work, which puts a whole nother load on it. but I can't just put a tube in with an 1/8 inch gap and make it. This is all got to be machine fit TIG. So I'm taking all the time with the really important stuff, but I'm going to slack when it comes to the motor. I'm not going to be able to build the 1400 horsepower crazy motor. I'm going to put a stock Gen 2 in. And then from there, I can get away with the shell not being nice. So that saves me a ton of time. We're going to patina it. And I'm probably going to roll out there with just my Haltech dash, a shifter, and my seats, and maybe a carpet.
Nice.
But the tubes will be epic. The body lines, so I got pretty much all the new sheet metal from AMD, so it's going to be like nice, but it's not going to be, Dutch boys perfectly caressed. And then from there, so it's going to be a crappy shell, the car that I love, with 2 seats, a bucket, and like a bag with all my stuff. And then it's got nice wheels and tires, and I got sponsored for that. But like the geometry is epic, everything's there. And then when I come back, I'll finish the interior, make everything nice, tint the windows or whatever. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna have to make a sign like "Don't judge me. I just drove here," so people don't roast it. Because you can see it. It's beautiful. Like you look at the turbo work. Like the turbo work is all epic.
Yeah.
Like I went nuts. But the body's like, haba.
We call that patina now, and the big
Right.
thing is it's a long ass way from Rhode Island to Vegas.
SEMA.
To SEMA, so it needs to be reliable and make it there, right?
Yeah,
So,
so I got all the
anyways.
good parts. I just got a message while I was here. Lee's gonna at the drive shaft shop make me a drive shaft. I got an awesome pump from Automotive. I got all the plumbing's gonna be dope. Everything's pretty much new. The only thing that scares me is I did a whole coyote swap in a car that wasn't meant to have it. So like I cut the whole. This Chevelle has this awesome inner framer. I'll cut the whole thing out. I made everything mount. I got everything perfectly laser perfect, and it's sitting there how a small block would, and everything's clear.
Right.
But everything's new, so it's like.
Yeah.
Bringing a fire extinguisher. I'm bringing up some bottles of water.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Motorhead Digital. Motorhead Digital are digital marketing experts for your automotive aftermarket, restoration, performance, race, and restyling shop. They help you supercharge your shop's website, social media, and entire online presence to attract those badass customers you're looking for. Check us out at motorheaddigital.com.
Super cool. I super love what you're doing in the space and how much you're here to promote it and support it and help it grow and thrive, and how you're putting your own personal little touch into it. I just think that is dope. I love it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing more from you. Unfortunately, I will not get the chance to meet you at SEMA this year. I won't be going this year, but I know.
I'm sad.
But that doesn't change the fact that I'll be following and watching, and you'll probably periodically see me comment on stuff. So, just keep that in mind.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. So this is where we kind of jump into our speed round. We wrap up our podcast, and we really kind of hit on some key points that are whatever comes to the top of your mind. So I don't want you to put too much thought into it. Again, keep in mind this is speed round. I'm going to ask a question, tell me what comes around, and then we'll move on.
Cool.
So your first question is, what is your favorite driver, team, hot rod, muscle car, or even a truck?
Ooh, I don't really follow racing like on TV. So I would say the only person I think I really like, as I met her, she's awesome. She's a sweetheart. She gave me some good guidance, is Alex Taylor.
Yeah.
She's badass. Yeah.
So I'm going to segue on that really quick. So our last guest, he had some commentary about how she actually got a spot on a show that he was trying out for. And he was like, I am just salty about it. I'm super salty. He's on. The worst part is I'm sure she's like this really great person. And I'm like, well, who's the person? And he said, Alex Taylor. And I was like, yeah, I hate to break it to you. She and her father and her sister are all absolutely amazing, wonderful people. I was like, so your salty is probably a little misdirected.
Yeah. No, I didn't know her from a hole in the wall. I mean, I've seen her before, and I did a thing at Pro Charger where I was talking. I was all nervous, and then they had us together, and she's made it. I'm still trying to come up or whatever. She like pulled me in. She's like, "Do you want to sign?" I'm like, "Sure." And all these women were there for her, like getting autographs. I'm like, "You want me to move?" She's like, "No, stay here." And we talked, and she calmed me right down. She was cool.
She is. She's very, very cool. All right. Second question is this one I think is going to be important for you. What is your favorite tool in your toolbox?
My plasma table.
Okay.
I got a 4x4
That is
plasma, so I can design all my 2D shapes, and I just cuts it out, and I can pull them all together and make a little puzzle piece.
Nice. I love it. Do you have a favorite event or show?
SEMA
Car
2025.
show. Wink, wink. All right. Here's our last question. This stumps everybody, so don't feel like you're going to be left out. You may have a quick response. We have had that as well. But the question is, what is the best advice you've ever received and from whom?
Ooh. Oh, man. Wow, that's a good one. The best advice I have ever received. Oh, okay. This kind of ties back. I was when I was going through it, I met this. Is there a better word for the H word that I could use? What is it? He's like, you know what I'm talking about? I can't say
do.
that. Vagabond?
Oh, shoot.
Vagrant?
Sure, we'll use that word.
There was this guy who I met who did not smell well. He did not look the part, and he had this big smile on his face. And I asked him, "Why the hell are you so happy?" This is when I was going through it. And he goes, "Man, I'm just alive." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "I'm just alive, and I'm grateful to be here." I'm like, "You're an idiot." So we started talking. And I was like, "You don't want stuff?" And it was very deep. And he goes, "Man, once you realize that you can have peace within yourself, you will never need or want for anything."
Mm-hmm.
And whoa, that broke my back.
That's deep.
And I dove into it, and I realized the times that I'm more in tune and I feel really good is the moments I'm the most happy and proud of myself. I'm here, I'm good.
Yeah.
And it's the moments where I don't crave or need attention or want things or feel like I'm not doing good. It's all internal. And my quest now in my life is to be okay with what's going on inside so I can bring that out, and that one interaction with him always makes me think, like, if I'm nervous, why am I nervous? And I look inwards. Yeah. Am I afraid to fail? Am I afraid for this?
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, I can be honest with you. It's easy to talk, but right now I'm nervous about failing with this. I want to make everybody proud, and I want to, make my sponsors know that they can trust me. But I'm doing it alone with just a couple of good friends. So it's like every morning I don't feel like that guy or the guy who I want to be. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, I know why. The only thing I tell myself is just keep on working, keep on showing up, drink all the coffee I need, take the naps I need, but just keep at it. And that's what I'm doing now. So I'm working, and I'm trying to be woosah while I do it.
That's awesome, man.
I love it.
Yeah. Hey, so Don, thanks for joining us, and thanks everybody for tuning in. Don, how can people follow you, find you online, your YouTube channel?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys doing this. I met you a long time ago, and you were a sweetheart. So I always wanted to make sure I can get back to you, and I hope I get to see you at SEMA and buy you some lemonade and give you a hug. I remember you being massive too, so I got to reach up to give you a hug. But
yeah, I'm 6'3".
I'm 5'7", baby. Here we go.
You should see a picture of Annette and myself next to each other.
I'm 5'1".
But yeah, if you guys want to reach out, it's Don Abenante on Instagram and Facebook, and then Retro Fabworks and/or Don Abenante on the old YouTubes. And come tag along. We're gonna bring this whole bucket of bolts to SEMA. So if you guys can pray for me and wish me some luck, we're gonna work hard, get it done, and then as soon as I strap in and get going with it, we're gonna drive out there. So I'm gonna go just slow. We'll get out there, hopefully make everybody proud, and on the way back, we can, on the journey, put the good motor in it and crank up the boost and make 1,400 horsepower and thrash with it.
Nice. I can't wait to watch the journey.
Very cool. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing it at SEMA as well. So,
well, thank you again, and thanks everybody for joining Gearheads and Gasoline podcast while we're fueling your success. We know you don't want to miss an episode, so don't forget to smash that bell so that you get notified of every new episode. Click that like button, leave us a comment, and share with your people. And visit us repeatedly. We love it.